morning.
Good morning. I feel like we should have opened with like Adam Sandler's Thanksgiving song.
Oh, we totally should have. I should have thought about that.
Thanksgiving is a special time. Gobble, 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 and a gobble, gobble, giggle.
Oh, man. It's been a long time since I heard that song. Probably since last
Yeah. Yeah. I thought about putting it on the other day.
Well,
What a classic.
how was your Thanksgiving?
Mine was nice and quiet.
Mine was not quiet.
Well, you're in a house full of people, and I am in a house with one dog.
That's
So yeah, the dog's not talking a whole lot.
Yeah.
Although I shared my ham with him, so he was happy.
We're
both happy.
I shared pizza with these people, and they were very happy.
They were very happy, or they weren't?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, how can you not be happy with pizza?
They're just not very quiet, which is okay because neither am I. So.
Well, it's a wild day.
Yeah.
Wild turkey day.
Yeah, we're gonna watch the football game after this. Michigan, Ohio State.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Who's gonna win?
I don't know, and it's a split household around here.
Uh-oh. So it could come to blows.
It's gonna get a little crazy, I think. We'll have to see. And we, of course, can't do one of these trips without someone going to the emergency room. So.
Yeah, I was gonna say turn it into a drinking game, but that might be worse.
Well, we already got one there this morning.
Yeah.
Cat's in the hospital this morning.
Oh, Jesus.
She took a spill last night. Was not a good one. So she's having her derriere looked at right now.
Mm.
Yeah.
Broken hip.
Oh, man.
Cracked hip. Who knows?
She fell flat on her tailbone. It was not good.
Was it because of, is there ice up there, or was she just?
No, we were coming back from, they had like a Christmas parade here last night. Really cute little town, like Hallmark town going on here. We went to we walked up the street, went to their little Christmas parade, and we were coming back. And because Kat has her illnesses or whatever, she can only go for so long before we have to, set her up. We've got a walker that has a little bench seat in it.
Mm-hmm.
And so she finally was like, all right, I got to sit down. We were almost to the house, almost there. And her husband was pushing her, and they hit a big crack, and it just, the whole thing folded up on her. Took her husband with him.
No.
Everybody felt it was not good. It was not good.
Well, hopefully it's good news coming out of the hospital.
I'm hoping it's just very badly bruised, is what I'm hoping.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe a pointer.
Good morning, Purple Princess. I'm going to put this up here. I forgot. I hadn't even looked at our comments yet. But yeah. Other than that, things have been really cool. We had a good Thanksgiving. We ate pizza. And just basically BS'd around.
Yeah, it was rainy here, so I just made that my excuse to stay in all day and cooked and watched football and
nice.
Had a little break in the rain, so took the dog for a walk. But
awesome.
But yeah, I got no complaints about Thanksgiving.
I have none either. And the flight that I was on was like there's nobody on it. Like every person had their own row. It was so nice.
That's the holiday flights for you.
Yeah. And I met people.
You get the other weirdos that are traveling on a holiday with you.
I mean, there was cool people. This flight was amazing. The flight attendants got me drunk for free, which was nice because I wasn't driving when I got here. So, so I had made friends with the flight attendants. They were just giving me whiskey, and there was a few babies on the plane that I got to meet as I made my way to the group. And they wanted me to hold them, so I got to hold them. And it was just like a little I got to know everybody around me. It was very fun. We all watched Big Bang Theory together and laughed.
Wow.
Yeah. It was a moment. We bonded.
How long was that flight?
2.5 hours.
2.5 hours of bonding.
It's amazing the things you can get done in 2.5 hours.
And then if you ever see those people again, you remember like, I remember you.
Yeah, there's a lady sitting next to me. She was flying. She was flying from Colorado, had a layover in DFW, and then we were all flying here to Michigan. And she was coming to see her daughter and her daughter's husband. And she told me, I mean, we just talked about everything. And like by the time we got off the plane, she was like, "It was so nice to meet you," hugged me, and was like, "I hope we're on the return flight together. Like, I hope we have another layover in DFW. Like, if I can find you again and we can hang out, I would be totally happy about that." But like, it was so cute. Her and her husband were sitting on the aisle seats next to each other, and he was making sure that like her drinks were open for. It was the cutest thing. They'd been married for like 58 years, and
Wow.
it was adorable. It was adorable, and hearing her whole life story was amazing.
Wow. Yeah.
I love meeting people like that. I don't know why. It's just fun.
Yeah.
It makes you think that there's still some certain amount of like humanity left.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, flying for me used to be more fun, but getting to meet people that way was, I don't know. I guess it was kind of neat back in the day, but now it's just become routine just to hop on a flight. And now I just hope nobody's sitting in the seat next to me, but
Right.
having wide shoulders,
you're just hoping that you can just make it through without any muscle cramping up.
Yeah. You're just hoping for like somebody's well-behaved child to sit next to you so you have shoulder room.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So the theme of the show today is Thanksgiving all around.
Yeah.
And we were just gonna talk about origins and myths, I guess, some spin-offs of it, like how it's transformed over the years, maybe.
Yeah.
Because I mean the origin we're all taught in school, and like what there's obviously got to be some truth to every story. So what they teach in school is that that you got the colonists that landed in Plymouth, and for the winter they were staying on their ships, and like the women and children stayed on the ship, and then they had a few people go out try to forage, but the winter was so harsh in New England that year that they just stayed on the ship, and then like half of the people died of scurvy and whatever other diseases that they could have had on the boat. And then finally spring came, and they were able to get off the ship, and they went on shore, and then they started the colony at Plymouth Rock, Plymouth Bay. And so, but even after they got off the ship, they were still struggling. And so by November, or by wintertime coming, there was, and this is where it gets the juicy part, where people have their conflicts with it. So Squanto, who was an Indian, like a Wampanoag, something. I think it was a Wampanoag Indian.
I think you're right.
Yeah, so he shows up, and he speaks English because he was a Indian that was taken back to England,
right,
and lived in England as a slave for a while, learned English, somehow gets away from being a slave, goes to London, gets on a ship that comes back to the Americas and rejoins his tribe. And so he shows up at these colonist gate and starts showing them how to like get sap or get syrup from the trees and fish and use fish to cultivate their crops, and basically he shows them how to survive like
Okay.
the Indian style out in New England because they were struggling. They were on
Like
the struggle bus. So then, and the funny thing is like he showed up with like a group of Indians also. Like the first time they saw him, like he shows up and the colonists are like, a bunch of brown people just showed up at our gate, you know. And but then so they take them in, they learn these things, and then by the winter of the next year, they've got like a bountiful crop harvests, and they're ready for the winter. And so they all sit down and have 3 days of it's actually 3 days of feasting in games, and they call it Thanksgiving.
Is that really what they called it though?
I don't think they called that at the time, but that's what it turned into. Like it wasn't until the actual holiday got incorporated into our government's like national holiday schedule, which wasn't until I think Abraham Lincoln time.
Actually, I think it was no.
Or I think he considered it, but
Yeah, he had something to do with like recognizing it at first, but it was all over the place. I think is what the deal was.
yeah.
And then,
Well, I just thought it was funny. I had a thought before the show talking about the Indians showing up at the gates, and it was in New England. So a bunch of brown people showed up at the gates of these colonists, and like a lot of people these days want to say that you know, there's the controversy surrounding Thanksgiving and how these Indians met the colonists and how the colonists treated them. But from what I understand, the relationship that they actually had with these Indians was actually pretty well off. I mean, obviously the Indians wouldn't be showing them these things if they considered them a threat. And I think it was something like 80 years passed of basically peaceful time before there was a big war, which was a war started by the King of England. You know, it wasn't started by the colonists. It was started by the King of England because, you know, somebody sitting a long ways away. But anyways, my thought is these pilgrims had a good relationship with these people that showed up, and people try to paint them as like these conquerors, racists, just trying to get rid of Indians. And that's what all the media will tell you about Thanksgiving these days, is that Thanksgiving isn't what we think it is, with just sitting down and having things for, you know, family and a plentiful harvest and stuff like that. Like there was like bloodshed and stuff behind it. And then my thinking is the original one didn't have anything of the sort. Like they were truly a struggling people. The Indians showed up. They showed them how to do it. But what I think is funny is recently with DeSantis in Florida sending a bunch of brown people up to Martha's Vineyard, they gave them like cereal and put them on a bus to the nearest military.
yeah.
Yeah. Whenever brown people showed up at their front gates, they didn't welcome them with the same way that the pilgrims did, the so-called racists.
Yeah. Yeah, I get what you're saying. I think the part that's weird to me about all of this, and maybe it had to do with the death and the illness and whatever, but like why did they come so ill prepared? You know what I mean? Like, how did you not know how to fish before you got here?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is, I think by then, you know, they had fishermen. Like that was your job. Like Indians all around probably just knew how to do kind of a little bit of everything. It's not like any of them had like a designated, you are our fisherman. You know, the colonists were built to be like tradesmen. Like they had one trade they had a carpenter, or you were a, cobbler, tailor, or you were a fisherman. So
Yeah. I don't know.
yeah,
There's a lot of questions for me. Also, to answer your question, it was Abraham Lincoln. So it was
yeah,
Abraham Lincoln gave it the name Thanksgiving Day. And it was supposed to be celebrated on the final Thursday in November in 1863.
yeah.
But
And I mean that was
solidified it as a holiday.
yeah. So that was part of the controversy of it as well. So a lot of Southerners viewed Thanksgiving as a northern holiday because it was more of a Protestant type holiday, and so obviously the North and South were clashing. Like they didn't want to incorporate it in the South because I guess the South was a lot of I don't know if Baptist was around by then. It may have been Catholic or something like that, but yeah, the North and South were clashing over even just Thanksgiving, which Democrats have always hated Thanksgiving because it would have been Southern Democrats back then, that didn't want Thanksgiving.
Oops.
And now, yeah, and every year now, Democrats are trying to say that Thanksgiving isn't what it is and we shouldn't celebrate it. And
like, I'm sure that there's some kind of like bloodshed at some point. Like there has to be, right? It's just how history is. But like, I don't know. I feel like why do we have to celebrate that part of it? Why can't it not just be giving thanks?
Yeah. And that's what I feel at the very root of it. The very first Thanksgiving, that's what it was giving thanks. Like these people had lost. And that's one thing I don't think people consider is these people's family members had died on the ship just 6 months earlier. Half of them. Because they were all family. It's not like it was just a bunch of strangers. They all knew each other. They had to have known each other.
Right.
And half of them died on a ship 6 months earlier. And then,
well, if they didn't, they did on the boat ride over.
Yeah, exactly. So
no getting away from that one.
Yeah, and then they get off the boat thinking like we are surely dead ourselves, and then Squanto shows up and shows them the way, and they survive. So why can't we celebrate that part? Like, why do we have to drive the wedge in between? Like, oh well, what happened after that was.
Well, I mean, it's fine to bring awareness to it, right? We do the same thing with Valentine's Day. But what we don't do is go around and act offended by Valentine's Day. We know what it is. It was a massacre. But we don't celebrate that part of it. So why do we do that with Thanksgiving?
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense because it fits a narrative. That's why.
Yeah.
Valentine's Day, it doesn't matter what your race is or what your culture is or what your skin color is.
Yeah. Like if you scrutinize every holiday for what it's celebrated for, like you're just trying to erode tradition. And like I said, the Democrats, I feel like they're trying to get us away from the family unit because a family unit tends to lean more conservative. Like if it's like the traditional family unit that has religion and a mother, father,
It's what we were founded on.
Like all that structure that has always been there. And so I feel like the Democrat Party is trying to take away our traditions to try to erode at the foundations a little bit of what the family is about. Because Thanksgiving, especially, that's usually whenever families get together and, it's like the most traveled holiday for families.
If you can cause division through family, I mean, why wouldn't you? If you're them and you can cause as much as division as they have to gain as much control as they have, why would you not?
Yeah.
It's the smartest move ever.
Yeah. Yeah, I
And
mean that's my thoughts on it.
the only part of what you're saying that I personally disagree with is the Democrat part, because I think there's very much both sides involved,
Yeah. Oh
and
yeah.
then there's just a few of us that are like fighting against it and holding
Well,
those conservative values.
yeah. Well, I think the rule applies that um the Dan Bongino rule, where I forget how he says it, but it's basically like not all Republicans are Republicans, or but all Democrats are Democrats.
That's true.
Yeah.
I do agree with that.
And so you got these rhinos.
Who are,
Rhinos for sure.
really, I don't even affiliate with. So you're right.
Yeah.
You and Dan Bongino are right.
Yeah. He's usually right on a lot of stuff.
Ow.
But yeah, there was something else I was going to say about Thanksgiving. It's escaped me though. It might come back.
Maybe later.
Yeah. What else? What else? You got any juicy details about Thanksgiving?
Well, I mean, I tried to look up some stuff on Thanksgiving to go into like deep conspiracies, but other than the one we pretty much touched on, that everyone's just trying to, narrate change the, story to where it's offensive and causes division.
Yeah.
I mean, these just talk about their clothes. Their clothes weren't the black and white with the hats and the giant buckles, and it's just so much on here. Let's see if I can find a good one. But the food down dinner is not a thing. It was not a thing. We're talking about that one. Do you think they all sat down together?
Well, from what I understand, there wasn't a whole lot of seats.
Yeah, that's what they're trying to get at. It was like
so they were like
giant table for them to sit at together.
Yeah, so they were like sitting on barrels and on the ground and just kind of wherever they had, passing out some plates.
Well, and if it lasts 3 days, you're not all eating at the same time.
No. Yeah, I mean, they were also like running around playing games and stuff.
Yeah.
Whatever. I don't know, maybe lacrosse, like a version of lacrosse or something. I don't know if they were playing it by then, but
crickets.
Yeah, it was like the Indian version of lacrosse.
Oh, was it? I figured it'd be like something.
Yeah, lacrosse is an Indian, Native American game.
I didn't know that.
Yep.
Truman pardoned in Turkey?
Truman?
Harry Truman was the first U.S. president to offer an official pardon of a turkey. Apparently, that's a myth.
Do we have footage of Biden pardoning the turkey? I feel like that's got to be something funny, right?
I don't have any foot. I can't screen share this week because I don't.
Oh yeah.
It says one more comment. It's partially true, but mostly false. So in 1947, the first year that a free turkey was supplied to the White House, but the bird was for Christmas, not for Thanksgiving, and it wasn't pardoned. It was eaten by the first family. Nobody pardoned the turkey.
It's all a sham.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if that means Groundhog Day is a sham too.
You wonder if what is a sham?
Groundhog Day is a sham.
Oh, Groundhog Day? Yeah.
I feel like Groundhog Day doesn't count for us in Texas. So it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Everything is a lie. Yeah. Everything we've been told is a lie.
I know.
Even the pardoned turkeys go get slaughtered.
False flag attack. There was a Thanksgiving false flag attack. I didn't know that.
This year or another year?
Well, this is the myth, right? It says the U.S. government is planning a Thanksgiving false flag attack to advance their agenda of taking away our rights and or starting various wars. So the myth is, so people think that there's a Thanksgiving false flag event. Okay, the reality, you can go back to 2008 to find various declarations that a mass false flag attack was going to take place on Thanksgiving of 2008. The same vague conspiracy theory is rehashed every year and is never mentioned when it doesn't happen. I didn't even know that. I had no idea that that was a thing.
I think I've heard of that somewhere before. It sounds familiar. It sounds like a movie plot.
Black Friday is in fact not the most lucrative shopping day of the year.
Is it Cyber Wednesday?
It says, let's see. It says that before 2002, Black Friday never became. Oh, I'm sorry. In fact, before 2002, Black Friday never came in higher than fourth. But the relentless drive to lower prices and get more people in stores earlier finally worked. Black Friday did become the biggest shopping day of the year in 2003. So it wasn't always the most lucrative, I guess is what they're trying to say. I feel like this is like Scopes, like, well, that's not technically correct.
Yeah.
Don't be so lame. Don't fact check. Just know that, like, at one point, it's been the biggest shopping day of the year.
There's always that person that has to be right about something.
Yeah.
It's just like the biggest myth. Like I was reading my own myth page while you were going over that a little bit, and they were talking about the Wampanoags' lives were ruined after the Pilgrims arrived. And it's like, what can we change now about that anyways? Like, we're just supposed to sit around and be sad about it?
Yeah. Can we not? Why can't we celebrate the fact that we're not like that anymore?
Yeah. Yeah, like, hey, Pilgrim survived. Thanks to these Indians' help, they sat down, they had a meal together. That's the root of it. And we can't change what happened after that, but
right.
But here we are now.
Like I feel like everybody's an inspirational quote these days, right?
Yeah.
They're like, don't hang on to the past, be the future, but also don't forget that we were horrible to people 200 fucking years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Like,
live your quotes, people.
Do what?
Live your quotes, people.
Yeah.
Like, actually live your quotes.
Same energy all the way around. Just the whole outlook on life. Could you just...
Yeah.
Just have morals and stick to them. I don't understand why that's so hard for people these days.
Yeah. And it's, I don't know. It's kind of like the victor always gets, in this case, since we were victorious United States, like pilgrimage and colonist and the white man, I guess, since they were victorious, they get painted as like the bad guy. And obviously there was horrible things that happened. Like, could they have gone a different way about expansion and taking over Native American lands? But then at the same time, Native Americans were taking lands from each other well before we got here.
Well, and that's been going on for like hundreds of thousands of years. That's how that happens. Unfortunately, we We don't have control over what happened in the past or how we did that. That's just
Yeah.
what happened. It wasn't based on skin color. It wasn't based on race, origin, nothing. It was based on what land they wanted and what they were willing to fight for.
Yeah.
Didn't matter.
Well, I mean, it was happening in Europe too. Like that was half of the reason why the colonists came to America, because they, Europe was a war zone for hundreds of years. Like
Yeah.
you can't look at a time in history without seeing that some sort of war was going on in Europe, and somebody was getting their land taken from another white person. It was or Caucasian, I'll say.
Well, and to me, like that doesn't even think about the people we did. Think about the Irish people. Like,
yeah,
they were white. We had the same skin color. The Europeans still like totally screwed them.
Yeah. I mean, England against Scotland, England against the Welsh, England against Ireland,
England against anybody.
Yeah, England versus the world.
Yeah. Which is insane.
England against the French. The French and the English were at each other's throats for a long time.
Yeah.
Like you name it, somebody was fighting somebody.
They still hate us. Like the French still hate us. I feel like we're very hated as a country, though.
Well, whenever you get what I've learned is that whenever you bail somebody out, they kind of hold like resentment against you for bailing them out.
Well, they owe you.
Yeah.
Nobody likes to owe anybody anything.
Yeah, because like whenever I went to Bosnia, so I went to both Bosnia and Serbia, and the Bosnians. Well, first I'll go with the Serbians. The Serbians showed us like buildings and stuff that from the Bosnian Serb War that we had bombed, and they showed us like vehicles that they had captured of ours and some other stuff. And like I didn't really feel like there was like any animosity between either one of us.
Mm-hmm.
But it was kind of weird whenever I talked to the Bosnians who we were helping during the Bosnian Serb War with NATO. They all kind of had like this kind of like feeling, I guess, that why did y'all come help us? Like we had this. We could have won without y'all. Why did y'all come? And I was like, well, fuck, sorry.
I heard that from like a lot of people.
Yeah.
So it's not like you guys were like, that's where I want to go.
Yeah.
You signed up to do a job. They sent you where you.
Yeah. Shit. They just told us to get on the plane and go into Bosnia.
Yeah.
But
they didn't even ask. They weren't like, hey, you want to go?
Yeah. Yeah. That was that Clinton? No, that wasn't Clinton. I think it would have been Bush Sr. during that time. Like 93, 94. But yeah, it's a weird kind of like reverse psychology. You would think that offering help to somebody would, but they'll bite the hand that feeds,
Well, I feel like it's kind of like how half the world is right now. I feel like there's people taking money from the government at the same time screaming how much they hate the government. Like,
yeah.
I hate the government, but take that vaccine, man.
Yeah. Go line up, get your EBT card and free cell phone. And
yep.
Why you working, man? The government just gives you money.
Yeah. They're here to help.
Well, asshole, where do you think they get the money?
Yeah. We're the hardworking people are paying them to give you that money.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the worst part about Thanksgiving is eventually it turned into there's a government here.
Yeah. Well, like I don't much like there needs to be some kind of law and order, I feel like, but like
yeah.
Government these days was not what it was put in place for. Like, I don't believe that at all.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Like I said, there was about 80 years of peace between the Indians and the colonists at that point, and then they got into what they called King Philip's War because some guy 1,000, I don't know, 2,000 miles away across an ocean said he wanted more resources and like let's ramp up this expansion pretty much. Like it could have been a gradual it could have been, a gradual kind of coexistence.
Yeah, it went. I think we got a little too big for our britches, a little too fast as far as
Yeah.
that.
And it's sad too cuz like I see the other side of it where like a lot of Native American culture was extinguished, like a lot of what they believed in may have disappeared, or even artifacts may have disappeared. A lot of stuff from the Native American side may have disappeared because of what happened after that, but like I said, there's nothing we can do about what happened
Yeah, like is
after
it?
that fact.
That's shitty. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I feel like we're all the same. The same stuff has been done to us just as a human species. Like whoever's in control has been hiding and lying and doing all the stuff to begin with, in my opinion. So
Yeah.
that's why I.
And that's like I'm not advocating that we hide what happened after. um
Mm-mm.
like we can still teach everything in the history books exactly how it happened, but as far as the holiday of Thanksgiving goes, like we should just sit down and be thankful
Yes,
that you've got a meal. That's what they were celebrating.
I completely agree. And can we not use that to celebrate some form of unity? Like, why are
Yeah.
we still fighting that fight like for so long? That has been the fight. I don't get it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
why we
And I
fight
mean,
it every time.
and we've tried very hard as a country to get reparations, if you will, for Native Americans as well. It may not, obviously, it's not like the original land that they had, but if we'd have left Native Americans well alone, do you think they would be paying reparations to the tribes that they would have conquered the land from, anyways?
I mean, in some form or fashion, probably.
You think so?
I don't know. Maybe.
I don't feel like they would have.
You don't think so?
No. I
I,
think like once you took it, like that was yours.
you don't think people continue to fight over it?
No, I'm saying pay reparations to the other.
Um,
No,
yeah.
I think you're thinking I said something different. I'm saying
Yeah.
I think they would have came in and taken the land from each other anyways and just
Yeah.
continued to do so.
Oh,
And
absolutely. Yeah. We're on
yeah,
the same page.
and they wouldn't have done any kind of reparations. They wouldn't have made reservations for each other,
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think so.
or made special rules for who they conquered,
I
to
agree.
to try to help them. There definitely wouldn't be like Native American college funds.
Yeah. No, I agree. I don't know. I don't know how much of all of that we have been lied to about anyway. So I mean, you already know where I stand with all the weird stuff like that, but like
Yeah.
I just I don't know what I believe in, and a lot of it doesn't make sense when you start to look into it.
Hmm.
Just from just from stuff that I said, like how did they come so ill prepared? Like how did you not know how to fish and plant and grow and fertilize? How like I that's beyond me. How are you were planning to come here to start a new civilization, right? So like why did you come without people in my opinion, everyone on that boat should have known how to do that, except for like little kids.
Yeah.
By the time you got there.
Yeah. But I mean, they also were coming from, in a way, I understand what you're saying. Like, you think they would have thought of every contingency before they got here, but
Maybe
it's
not
not like they were NASA.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's not like they were NASA. This was basically like going to the moon for them. Like, this was space travel, and they didn't have NASA like sitting there thinking like, all right, whenever our astronauts get up to Mars, they're going to need this, this, and this to be able to survive. They were just a bunch of religious zealots that were like, hey, we put enough money together to get a boat trip over. You want to go?
Well, that's kind of think about how scary that would be. Like, you have no idea what the terrain is like where you're going. You have no idea how you're gonna.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying is they didn't have like the data saying like, all right, it's got this kind of soil,
right?
It's got this kind of climate, and like I said, they were coming from an established society where everybody had their trade, so you had somebody go gather shit from people's houses and to use as fertilizer there, but if you're not eating, you're not shitting over here, so you don't have fertilizer, right? So
yeah, that's true.
So I mean, like, coming from an established society, I mean, you think about just how hard it is just for yourself to go out and try to survive for 60 days on your own using just what the land gives you, pretty much. Because if you've been sitting on a boat for 6 months waiting for it to get warm, you've burned through all of your supplies, probably.
Yeah, that's probably also true. They just were not as prepared.
Yeah, I mean,
I would have been to make
yeah.
that.
But if they had been prepared, then who knows what would have happened?
True.
Would we have Thanksgiving at all?
I don't know. Probably.
Maybe.
It probably would have made it into existence at some point.
Yeah, I mean, other nations have their own version of Thanksgiving. At least a few of them. Like, the one that was surprising to me was Liberia.
Wait, is it the same story though? Because that's a little fishy.
Yeah, I don't think it's the same story, but they call it the same thing. Canada has a Thanksgiving, which is kind of the same premise, but not the same story for sure.
Okay, good. I was about to be like, okay, now that's really weird.
Y'all can't steal our story.
Well, who's to say it's ours?
Yeah.
We're supposedly like the youngest country or whatever, right? You know? So
Thanksgiving is ours. Yeah.
We have no culture and here in America because we're so young. That kills me.
Yeah. We gotta beg, steal, and borrow our culture.
Yeah. Why can't we not just? I mean, how long do we have to be here to just be American?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, at what point family just
we're 250 years oldish.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because Joe Rogan talks about it all the time. He's like, that's only like 8 people ago. You know?
But like 8 people ago, I feel like that's sufficient enough to say that you're American.
Yeah.
It would not be like, well, I'm Irish, Native American, whatever, all the things. I don't know. I'm like 23 different things. Who knows?
Yeah. Apparently, I'm pretty much just Irish and English, so I'm the conqueror, you know?
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. I'm that horrible colonialist.
I have no idea. Have you done one of those 23andMe things or whatever?
My brother did, and I would assume we were pretty much
probably the same.
We probably should line up about the same.
Oh my! I can't even do that. I don't even have a full sibling. That sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't want to send your DNA and get it put into the database or something?
I mean, I don't really care. They probably have it. I mean, I've had 3 kids. They probably have my DNA already.
Yeah, if they wanted to, they got it.
Yeah.
I mean, mine's been in there with the military anyway, so I'm not.
Yeah, I mean, I've never been concerned about that. I think that's a scare tactic.
Yeah,
And like, who cares if they have what? I mean, they're gonna do what they want to do.
yeah,
What are you gonna do about it at this point? It'd be kind of cool to see what I actually am though, because like you do those family trees when you're younger or whatever, and I was like, I was so many different things. I was like, this is ridiculous. My presentation was way longer than everybody else's.
yeah.
French.
Well, whenever I don't know about you, but whenever we were younger, like everybody could have swore they had Indian in them. Like everybody was like, "Oh yeah,
Yeah.
there's Indian in my." Like everybody just assumed that there was Native American in their family tree. And
Yeah.
then my brother did his, and it was like 27% Irish, 72% English, and then it was like 1% like European, probably Italian, which kind of makes sense in England since the Romans were there. But yeah, that was about it.
I was always told I was mainly Irish. But I'm like, I feel like that's like a duh moment. Like, yeah, I know I'm a little bit Irish. Obviously.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like if you're white in this country, you almost have more chance of having Irish in you than Native American.
Yeah, I agree. Well, there's so many people that fled here too, and
Yeah.
then here were slaves and get like
Yeah, I don't know. And it's kind of like Elizabeth Warren just trying to claim like, okay, you may have some in you, but that's the real tragedy of that side is they all try to claim that they have like victimhood in them. I've got 1/16 of victimhood in me.
well, and let's be honest, how do you really know that?
Yeah.
You don't. They're just it's whatever they told you.
Mm-hmm.
Like they could not even be testing your blood. Just be
Yeah.
like, here, randomize something and send it to this person.
Got the vials mixed up and who knows.
Yeah. I mean, they mix up babies at hospitals. No telling what they're doing with
I
your
can't
blood.
imagine. Yeah, I
That's-
can't imagine not coming home with your baby.
I mean, I think that's very hard to do these days because they're very precise about that stuff. But like, yeah, 12 years ago, they were not.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be weird walking around with a kid. It's got like black hair and you're both blonde or something, or vice versa or something like that.
Yeah. And you find out like 25 years later, it's not really.
Yeah. Do a DNA test and you're like, this is not a match with you guys.
It's weird that things have actually happened like that.
Yeah.
Or kids being kidnapped from hospitals.
Yeah. At gunpoint too.
Yeah. Kidnapped from hospitals and then
Shooting
like,
nurses.
never seen again.
Shooting nurses in the nursery to take a baby out of the hospital.
There's some creepy stuff that goes on at hospitals.
Yeah, I try to avoid them altogether.
Same. Although Baylor Grapevine, great menu.
That's where you had Corey, wasn't it?
Kayla and Corey there. Yeah.
Yeah, Kayla and Corey.
Mhm.
Yeah, I remember going to visit you in that room, and it was I was like, damn, this is the nicest
You came
hospital
to
room.
I don't even fucking remember.
Yeah, it was with the she devil.
Which one's that?
My ex.
Oh, I thought you were talking about one of my kids. I was like, which one?
No.
Notice I wasn't even offended. I was just like,
No.
what are you talking about?
No, we came to visit you in that one, and I was like, man, this is the nicest hospital room I've ever seen.
That was with Corey, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was out of it. Like whoa, that was bad. Corey tried to kill me that day. Well, it was probably the day after because I don't think I had any visitors the day of.
Yeah. Yeah, you seemed pretty content whenever we got there. I think it was a few, like maybe 2 or 3 days after.
Then I was very content at that point. It was immediately after that I was like, okay. And then like the sobbing. You almost died.
Oh, geez.
God has a plan for everyone.
Yeah. Well, thank God you didn't.
Kid number 3, just take me.
Yeah. All right, I'm done.
I was good with 2. I love my kids. Holy cow. I forget people don't know my personality on here. Oh my goodness. How did we get here? We were talking about Thanksgiving. Let's go back to programs.
Yeah, what else do we get to talk about that?
I don't know. Other than I honestly think they're lying about most of it. I would like to know the real history of what's going on, what happened. Because like you can't say that like we showed up and there were just Indians here and we started taking over. Like there were definitely other things going on here besides that.
Yeah, I mean the Vikings showed up in like Nova Scotia and then left.
What?
Like they like
I don't
in
know anything about the Vikings. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah, so like it was probably almost 400 to 500 years before Columbus came over.
Well, that's why I'm like we can't be the first ones.
Yeah, like there's Viking settlements in Nova Scotia that date back to possibly like 1000 AD.
Well, don't we have like ruins in the Grand Canyon, don't we?
Yeah, the Puebloan Indians.
Like there's like significant ruins that we're still finding nationwide.
Yeah.
To prove that like there was pretty old history going on before.
Well, like the Cahokian and Mississippian mounds that were built, that was significant mounds. Like they had to move a lot of earth to build these mounds.
Mm-hmm.
And for what purpose did they build them, and how, when did they build them? Like I think a lot of the dates are like 700 to like 1000 AD, but they think there could be stuff underneath the mounds that may date even further back.
Yeah,
like I mean,
they're totally lying to us. You won't convince me anyway of anything different.
Yeah, I mean the history that they like to teach us is definitely questionable.
Yeah,
which I think you should question everything.
Absolutely.
Don't just take it for face value.
Yeah, the other thing that confuses me about coming over here is why, if we were running away from a religion, right? Wasn't it like pretty much like we were trying to get away from Catholicism, along with other things and dictatorship and like all the other shit? We came over here, and yet Catholicism was still like super popular over here.
Yeah. I mean, so the Protestants came. That was mainly the English Protestants coming over for English, and then the Spanish kind of came in and settled the South and had a lot of Catholicism, and then the French were here, and of course the French were mostly Catholic. So I mean, as far as English goes, like it was a lot of Protestant, but then these other nations came over saying like we want to grab a piece of this land too, and brought their religion. So, right, but the first ones was escaping religious, trying to establish their own. Like if you don't want us to practice what we practice, we'll just go over there, and you don't even have to worry about us. But then, yeah, Spanish, French, the Dutch showed up. The Dutch were actually really big for a while.
This is why I don't think time travel will ever be a thing, because they don't want us to know what actually happened. They don't. I would go back. I would want to go back and be like, okay, I want to see this for myself. Like, you have to show me. I don't know if I believe this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they got balloon rides up into space coming soon, so maybe
Shut the front. No. Yeah. Come on.
So maybe time travel will be
How is that even
possible.
possible?
Yeah, basically they're just gonna make a big like weather balloon with like a pod on the bottom that's pressurized, and like the concept that I saw, it's gonna be kind of like just like a lounge, like a bar lounge with some.
I think I do remember seeing this.
They're gonna have like a, I don't know, they'll have like a bar tender on board or something,
Some bar
like,
food. Here's
so
some
then
peanuts.
yeah, so then you just float up to space on this balloon. You
Yeah,
get a
just shove a bunch of
good look,
peanuts.
and then they bring you back down.
How long do you think it takes to get up there like that? And how far are they going?
I think a weather balloon takes like 6 hours or something to get up there. I don't know. Let's Google
So
that before
this is
the
like
end of the show.
full day trip is what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
I feel like that should be a weekend trip. Is it going to be like a cruise? You think this will start turning into like a cruise thing?
Yeah, it's pretty much like a cruise. So they go up to an altitude of 24 miles or more before they burst.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Like, they're not going into space. There's no way.
Yeah, well the weather balloons, they just like go. Like there's obviously not a people on board a weather balloon that they care about. I can't figure out. It doesn't say how long it takes it. It just says how high they go.
I don't understand why we haven't been doing this for years already. I mean, wasn't it the 80s that we were sending monkeys to space? Why were we? I feel like back in the 80s there was a lot of people trying to go to space, and then all of a sudden we were just like, yeah, we're going to shut that down. Like, we had teachers going up into space, we had actors going up into space.
It says that weather balloons can stay up there for like 2 to 3 hours, but it doesn't say how long it takes them to get into orbit, or not in orbit, but up there.
Because like they're just going up there and like, oh, there it is, and then coming back down. You get like a little 1 hour tour, and then you got to come back.
It's to show all the flat earthers that it's actually round, probably.
Well, I'm here for it. Let's go. But you're gonna have to prove to me that you're not putting me in a giant machine that's just, metaversing me to space.
Yeah. We do experiments.
You're gonna have to prove to me that I'm.
Well, you pay I think it was like $120,000. So.
Oh well, that's good. So I'll never need to know anyway because I can't afford.
Yeah. Yeah, you can blow your life savings and
like if I could, I wouldn't spend it on that.
Yeah, just put it on the credit card.
Yeah.
That you'll never pay off.
Nope. Well, especially not at that in hell mode.
Yeah, I don't think a $120,000 trip to space is worth it.
Nah. I mean, I was stressing about the oh god, what were we talking about the other day? I was talking with Tom about I guess there's a cruise around the world that you can do that he wants to do, and it's like 80,000 per person.
Jeez.
And I'm like, no, there's not a chance in hell. I don't want to be on a boat for that long.
Yeah.
I have no desire to be stuck in one place that long.
I could have fun with it, but not for $80,000. I'd just be stressing about how much money I spent.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, the money would stress me out, and like I honestly, that's a full year, is what he said.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could be on a boat for a full year like that.
I could definitely have fun, especially on a cruise ship.
Well, I've never been on a cruise, so I guess that would make sense why I could not see myself doing it.
Like with all the ports of call, going to see everything around the world, that would be fun. But yeah, not for 80,000. No thanks.
Yeah. Well, we're at an hour. The game's starting.
Yeah, you better get in there and join the festivities.
All right. Well, I guess are we doing next week?
Be thankful. Yeah, it should be good for next week.
Okay. All right, y'all. We'll see you next week.
Cool. See ya.